What is up, Dallas Mavericks fans? IndyCar Tim here with your Dallas Mavericks Daily Blitz. Welcome into FanStream Sports at fanstreamsports.com. Produced by DSP Media Podcast Company. Appreciate you joining the program. If it's your first time here, welcome. Make sure you head over to your favorite podcast app, wherever you get your podcasts, and go ahead and subscribe. We've got lots of content coming out for you, not just with the Mavs, but a number of teams in a number of leagues out there for you. I want to talk a little bit about today about the Spencer Dinwiddie signing by the Mavs as they welcome him back into the fold. Of course, he was here, served a big role previously, and was a loss, really, when he left the squad. But he is now back. And, you know, as Mark Cuban once said, it doesn't matter how many times you've failed. You only have to be right once. And then everybody can tell you you're an overnight success. But the Mavs will never be accused of being an overnight success. This has been a work in progress for a long time. And, you know, bringing Dinwiddie back into the fold, bringing Klay Thompson into the fold, I feel like these are sort of moves that are making up for some failures in the past couple of years. If you want to call them failures, I think they are. The biggest one, letting Jalen Brunson go in 2022. And look, that's the terminology, right, that they let him go. Make no mistake, he was not coming back to the Mavs regardless. They could have handed him the biggest bag of money on the planet. Well, that might have kept him. But he had no intention of re-signing here. They should have known that. They should have been able to trade him before that happened. And that's your failure. Not keeping him, but not trading him, I believe, was the failure with the Jalen Brunson situation because he wanted to go to the Knicks. He wanted to be the guy. He wasn't going to be the guy here. He knew that. And he wanted to go play for his dad, who's an assistant coach with the Knicks. So the front office sort of swung and missed with that one. But Nico Harrison is certainly, as the GM, now bounced back with the big signings of Klay Thompson. If you want to go back and count the trade deadline last season, P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford, they were certainly instrumental in the deep playoff run to the finals last season. And this team, I feel like now really is just sort of coming together, right? Because you've really only had half a season with those guys, that original roster from the finals last year. And now you're adding Klay Thompson. You've now put Spencer Dinwiddie back on the floor. And this could be big, I think, for this team. Does it put them over the top now? Are they going to be able to go into Boston Garden in the finals next year and steal a couple of games? I don't know about that. I'm not saying they can't. I'm just saying I don't know. You know, I think they're probably done making moves to this point of the offseason. I can't imagine something else that they would do or that they have money for. But when you look at the overall roster, the way it's formulated now, you know, the moves last season at the trade deadline, I thought obviously were very good with Gafford and Washington, big time pieces that you had to have. But the failure in the finals, whether it was you expected to be there or not, I think it just showed how far apart the Mavs. Well, the Western Conference and the best of the East. And really, when you talk about the best of the East, you're only talking about the Celtics, right? The Celtics won the East by 14 games last year. It wasn't even close. They breezed through the playoffs. So that's really your benchmark. If you're the Mavs, that should be your benchmark. I think you'll match up well against some of the other teams in the West. Maybe save for the Thunder, who still kind of scare me. I'm not scared of Phoenix. I'm not scared of Minnesota. You know, not scared so much of Denver, but really the Thunder, as they continue to grow together and get a little bit older and get a little bit of playoff experience, I think they scare me a little bit. But when you look at last season, you know, Doncic was banged up for most of the postseason. Kyrie Irving did not play like himself in the finals. As great of a season as he had and as great of a postseason he had up until the Boston series, he just did not have it. And I don't know if it was a match. Well, I do know it was a matchup issue with him for sure. There's no question. But you had key players that could not hit open shots against the Celtics. Harrison, for the most part, decided to run it back with the same roster. with the additions of Klay Thompson, Spencer Dinwiddie, which is a very proactive approach for Nico Harrison, and I applaud that, by the way. We didn't always see that approach when I say the old days of the Mavericks. I'm talking even just pre-Nico Harrison, right? So I think it could do them well. Look, they held the Celtics to 101.6 points per game in the finals, and you still lost in 5 games. So defense was not an issue, although I saw potential issues with perimeter defense, and that's one of the reasons Klay Thompson is here. That's your perimeter defense guy now. But in the finals, it was a lack of offense, 100%. When you hold an opponent to 101.6 points per game, especially the way the Mavericks offense played prior to that series, you should have won the series. But you just ran into a steamroller of a defense with the Celtics. And Harrison recognized that. And he knew that outside of the star duo of Luka and Kyrie, you needed to improve. So what did he do? He went out and got one of the best shooters in the history of the NBA in Klay Thompson. Now, you gave up this offseason pivotal key role players, Derek Jones Jr., Josh Green, but you replaced them with Najee Marshall and Quentin Grimes. They're both as good defensively as they are offensively. So, again, you're improving a little bit there, I think. But, they had, after all of those moves, they still had one roster spot that they needed to secure to add the proverbial icing on the cake of your off-season cake. And that was convincing Spencer Dinwiddie to come back to the Mavericks. And I think this is a bigger deal than maybe it's being made out to be, and maybe it will be made out to be a bigger deal as we get closer to the season. But man, he played some of the best basketball of his career while he was here in Dallas, before he went to LA, and he could be potentially the missing piece, the finishing piece, the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, whatever you want to call it for the Mavs championship puzzle, that puts them over the top. So, they've undergone, the Mavs have sort of an unprecedented transformation in a really short amount of time. When you just go back to the trade deadline last season, and all these players are going to have to gel a little bit. Thompson's going to have to find his place and get some chemistry going with the other guys. Dinwiddie's going to have to sort of find his place again here and find out where he fits with Thompson in the mix now, with Kyrie in the mix now. But overall, man, Harrison and the Mavs front office need to be applauded for these moves and improving, I think, dramatically improving this team, especially offensively, while not giving up anything defensively for these guys. But yeah, I think it's a big deal, big roster improvements, and I'm excited for the Mavs this upcoming season. I still have my questions about Jason Kidd's ability as a head coach to lead this squad to a championship, and maybe we'll talk about that on the next Dallas Mavericks Daily Blitz. But until then, boys and girls, appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure you follow me on X at IndyCarTim. Make sure you head over to FanStreamSports.com. Check out all of our great shows over there. You can also download the mobile app and check out FanStream Sports TV, our YouTube page, with videos of all our great shows. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, we'll see you.